Okay. I guess we'll open this special called meeting, the Board of Zoning for Blackstone. And at this point, I think we have some information from our legal, Tessie Bacon and Mr. Walden. So,
If I may very quickly, I'm
Sure.
just, for those of us that are new to the discussion,
Thank you.
I will very briefly go over the history and then let you know. We talked a little bit in the office when you guys came by. What we have is a variance that was granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals in 2003 in order for Mr. Duncanson to adjust a setback or reduce the setback on the apartments that are located on Man Street, if everybody's familiar with them. And as part of that, there was a motion made in 2003, and the motion was approved. And if I can get my glasses on, I can read it. It says, Board Member Wilkins, I believe it's David Lee Wilkins, if I'm not mistaken. David Lee Wilkins, or Board Member Wilkins, made a motion to approve the request of O.D. Duncanson II for a variance on his property located on Man Street to allow for a 20-foot setback instead of the required 40-foot setback, and for Mr. Duncanson to put up a barrier that is agreeable to Mr. and Mrs. Rutledge. The motion was seconded by Board Member Hawks, and I believe that's Michael Hawks. And that is Michael Hawks, and was approved unanimously. Motion carried. So that is the original motion where the variance was granted. As you may or may not know, the town, in its zeal with chainsaws, cut down the barrier. And we take full responsibility for having done so. I believe the guys who went down there and talked had been in communication with Mr. Duncanson, and they would say they were cut down well below what they should have been and well below what they provide as a barrier. Okay, so we've been back and forth, and we recognize that the town has culpability in the cutting of the trees, and we have offered, if Mr. Duncanson would buy the materials based on a cost estimate that our guys, Dan Martin, I think he got online and looked at Lowe's and found out about $3,300, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? $3,300. That was the cost estimate for the materials, and that the town would install the fence at that point. I think what you're going to hear tonight is, and I'll let Tessie and Ken do the thing, and if you want to hear from the folks, I will be sure to assist in any way, but I'll let Tessie and Ken discuss the matter, and I think that there's been a motion drafted between Tessie and Ken. I don't know if you guys have seen it. We discussed it and we read it. I read it to you, but I think Tessie will give you a copy, and if I need to go make some copies of that. We don't want to be presumptuous, but this is what Ken and Tessie have been working on for the past few weeks. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need me to make copies of that?
Yes, my understanding was that Ken was going to make the motion on behalf of Mr. Duncanson, but certainly if everyone would like copies of that would be good.
Excuse me, $3,250. That's pretty good, isn't it? You were close.
Yes, and then if you all would like copies, then certainly we can make the copies for everybody here.
I look upon this as a sort of agreed upon disposition between the town attorney and the applicant moving for the variance. And the motion that we have hammered out is that the motion be to modify the variance granted for the property designated as tax map parcel number 58-28-1-8 located on Man Street adjacent to the property owned by Wilma Rutledge Townsend. That application is hereby granted upon the following terms. The 20-foot setback on the rear property line is granted provided that applicant erect and maintain a barrier on applicant's property along the property line of Wilma Rutledge Townsend. The barrier shall be made of white vinyl fencing and shall be uniformly 8 feet in height. It should be located by the town of Blackstone personnel on or near the top of the slope so as to avoid interfering with the underground utilities. Town personnel shall install the barrier at no cost to applicant. Applicant shall pay for the materials and supplies needed for installation per the estimate provided by the town, and the estimate's about $3,250. Heart attack. $3,250, and so basically it would be a white vinyl fence located on the top of the slope, which should get it above the windows, and it'll be on the the apartment side of the property, pretty much back from the property line. Anything, Tessie, that you want to add to that?
Nothing that I wanted to add to it, I'll just back up right here, but, and, you know, that is my understanding about what will satisfy not only the town and Mr. Duncanson, but also the aggrieved parties as well, the adjacent landowners who are here tonight, with you all as well. And basically, their objectives were just to make sure that there was a barrier that was tall enough to where the occupants at the apartment buildings that are owned by an LLC where Mr. Duncanson is the member and manager of it, could not see into that adjacent yard. And so my understanding is that if you all do accept that recommendation and move forward, that the construction on the fence will begin ASAP so that we can get this matter resolved and behind us.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's the end of it.
Yes, do, are there any more comments from both parties involved?
That's just the end of this.
This would be the end of it if we approve, if we accept Ken's motion, if we accept it unanimously, then we're directing the two parties to agree with it. I don't know that it has to go to town council. I think it stops there. And my thought process is if my legal tells me that that's the way to go, that's what we hire her. So,
Okay,
We're fine.
all right. Any comments from anyone out in the audience?
I would like to say that this is not the first time I've been down here, this is the second time I've been to the board. Y'all, this is the second time I've seen Dee down here. The last time I was down here with y'all, there was an agreement made. I wanna make sure that this agreement's gonna stick, that I'm not gonna find out tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, that he's changed his mind again.
And I think once we have a motion that we accept the motion that Ken has put together, I think that's the end of it from BZA. The last time, if I remember correctly, we left it that Mr. Van Norbeck was going to check into what VML would do without giving a conclusion to the whole matter. So my understanding, and Tessie may need to help me, my understanding that if someone makes a motion and we approve the motion coming from Mr. Walden and it's accepted, I guess unanimously, then we go forward.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, anything that you would like to say differently about it, if you got a problem?
No, it's, no, you said ASAP, they're gonna start putting it on ASAP, that's fine with me.
Okay,
Yes, that's
Do
my
we need
understanding.
Do we need to establish an ending date if the ASAP is not adhered to?
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, that would be in your all's discretion, but certainly that's something that you all may do.
they can go in the motion.
Just to add to the chairperson's point of, you know, once you all accept this amendment, the variance amendment, then, you know, if there was a certain time of compliance that was established by you all and it wasn't complied with, then, you know, the town could still bring a zoning violation for it. Now, my understanding is pursuant to talks I've had, you know, that the town will be the one instructing it. Mr. Duncanson does plan to pay the town immediately for the materials, and so I don't think that it'll be a problem, but certainly to make everybody here feel better, certainly you all could establish a time for compliance as well.
Okay. I guess we could put that in the motion as someone makes the motion to accept.
You put the fence up?
Yeah.
It'll be up by the time you put your head on a pillow Saturday.
Jeez.
I gave it to the 17th when I was here last time with that job with the BZA.
Uh-huh,
That's a month, that's long enough from the last meeting.
uh-huh.
You know, any fence crew could put that up in a day or a piece of jack leg, one put that in 2. You know, and there's no excuse for this time.
So you're asking for a time,
17th or your lock and key job, or I'm gonna bring the big boys at you.
okay?
August 17th?
August
August
17th.
17th, which
Davy
happens
Crockett's
to be my
birthday.
birthday.
I think that could go,
It'll be a wonderful birthday present.
that could go in the
Lock and key.
motion.
almost done, and we lost our hands.
You have to understand, I left a grandchild today in MCV. I had no intention of coming to this meeting at all. Talked to Philip on Friday, I told him my granddaughter's going to MCV. I'm gonna be down there.
What's
They put the feeding
Thursday?
tube in her tonight. And I'm sitting down here, where I have come more times than it's been necessary.
Well, let's have a motion. If everybody can accept that, if whomever wants to make the motion might want to put the date of August 17th for total completion.
I make a motion that the construction of the fence behind Mr. Duncanson's property and your name is
Wilma Townsend,
Ms. Townsend's property be constructed and completed by close of business on the 17th of August, 2017.
I second.
Okay, any more discussion needed? Okay, all in favor of that motion being presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
I would further recommend that, you all recommend that the motion that was made by Mr. Walden on behalf of Mr. Duncanson
be accepted too.
accepted. And then, of course, with that motion to be added to it. Just
Okay.
so I have everything on record.
Okay,
So do you want them to make another motion?
does that need to be an independent?
I'll make a motion that we accept Mr. Waldron's motion.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion needed? I think that's just formality. Okay,
And I will type the motion out
Yes.
specifically in the meeting.
How?
So we'll have that on record of what the specific motion was and the timeframe.
okay. All in favor of that motion, that we accept Mr. Walden's motion that was presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I guess both motions were accepted unanimously, so it seems to me that both parties are in agreement here that the town will take its position, Mr. Duncanson will take his position, and the completion date will be August 17th. Or we will have to revisit.
Thank you.
Mr. Van Nilbeck, anything else we need to do tonight?
Blessedly no.
Good.
Would you like to adjourn?
But what we will do,
I would adjourn this meeting then.
I
Yeah,
got football.
let me run the meeting from now. You got a football game?
I got football practice.
Oh, well, good, let's get you out of here.
That's the game, right?
Yep.